My first deal, I funded that one myself. During my lunch break of my corporate job, I'm just like, holy cow, I've never seen that much money in a bank account before.
So what are your goals kind of 2024?
My goal is $250K in profit.
250 still sounds low to me. I don't know if we still need to argue that number up a little bit.
Absolutely. And even like when I was working my corporate job, probably my first 3 deals I closed during my 9 to 5. I would either walk out to my car and talk with the seller. Yep. It's like, okay, I can work super hard for that bonus, or my first deal, $30,000 profit.
I have consultations all the time. People come in from wholesaling, bring some of your shit over, use what we teach you, combine the two things, and you're going to do really, really amazing things.
As I educated myself, I started to realize like, okay, people who are wealthy, they either do so with real estate or with business. And if they're smart, they combine the two.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Apke, joined by Anthony Weiler, common guest by now. Anthony, you've been on here quite a few times, and Dylan Rusch. Drove down from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Cincinnati, Ohio. Really excited to have you on here, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel like I've listened to 10,000 plus hours of podcasts over the last 5 years or so. Yep. So it's really cool and humbling to actually be on one.
And the cool thing about your story is it's a lot of people who come on, like, you haven't been doing this that long, but you've been so engaged in the community, so engaged in your learning and like just taking it on full force. Like, you quit your full-time job. You're 6 months in. You've quit your full-time job. You've done a lot of things. I know you have another job now, but you're trying to put more time, money into land, which is really awesome. But just talk about your story from the start. Like, how'd you find us? How'd you end up where you are?
Yeah, great question. So really, it all stems from, come from a great family. I have 2 amazing parents. There's 4 of us kids. Really, we're a sports family. So my dad's still a high school basketball coach. All 4 of us kids played college sports at the small school level. For me, I was a point guard at a Division III school in Wisconsin, and really took that passion for sports and turned it into a career. So for the 2016 season, worked for the Green Bay Packers for a year. So as a kid from Wisconsin, that was a dream come true. 5 years after that, was at the University of Wisconsin in the athletic department. Had an awesome experience there. Kind of wanted to be a college athletic director at the time. And as I was a few years into my career, my wife and I got engaged, ultimately got married, and really went all in on understanding personal finance and what that meant for me and my future family. Like anybody who kind of starts their personal finance journey, that you start off with Dave Ramsey. So we were paying off student loan debt. Mm-hmm. There were months where we were chunking $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month and living very frugally towards that student loan debt. And after we paid that off, we were like, okay, what's next? And for us, it was, as I educated myself, I started to realize like, okay, people who are wealthy, they either do so with real estate or with business. And if they're smart, they combine the two. So that really embarked me on my journey. We house hacked a duplex in late 2021, inherited a tenant. I think she was paying like $540 a month. She didn't renew her lease. We decided to turn that into a short-term rental. And in the first full month, we made, I think, $5,100. Wow. So at that point, we're like, holy crap, we might be onto something here from a real estate standpoint. And really my big turning point was this past fall when I joined at the Action Academy Mastermind. Really opened my eyes and allowed me to be around people who are like-minded. I think it's like 200, 250 people, all within different asset classes that are trying to get it done with real estate or buying businesses. And as part of the Action Academy, in that first month, we have to develop a vivid vision for what we want our life to look like. And right around that time is when I heard you, Ron, on Brian's podcast and heard about land investing for the first time. And I was just like, wow, that's something I could maybe do. I knew that with 2 kids now and a demanding corporate job at the time, I was like, okay, I don't have time to flip houses. But what I can do is, hey, I could put my kids to bed at 7 p.m. and from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night, I can go price counties, run comps, send direct mail. So instead of focusing on like the limited time that I have, I was like, okay, what can I do? And that's where I found land investing, joined the group, I think in September or October. And the rest is history. Yeah,
and we've had a lot of people come from Action Academy. And the thing, I always get excited when people come from Action Academy because like what Brian has built there with that mastermind is like, it is exactly what it is. He pushes you guys to take action. He pushes you guys to do things and make things happen. So when did you join? Do you know? Because I have you joining Land Investing Online September 20th. Do you know exactly when you joined Action Academy?
Yeah, probably 4 or 5 weeks before that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was all kind of at the same time, and
that's a big investment too. It's not like those. That's a big investment, essentially to network and to find opportunities. But it's led you here, and it's going to lead you so many more places. Financial partners, money partners, all those things. that's what we're really doing, Anthony, with Cohort 101 too, is like pushing networking, pushing people, talking to other people. And that's all Action Academy is about, right?
Yeah. It's all, to me, it's about who, not how. Yeah. So I'm just surrounded constantly by people who are doing big things. Like there's one guy in my weekly pod who's buying an existing business. So it's just like you're exposed to so many different things. It's allowed me to think bigger. Within Action Academy, we have different micro tribes. So like every day I'm texting the 4 or 5 guys that are in my little group message, and we're inspiring each other and just pushing each other along, learning together as we go.
So talk about when you first started sending mail. So you told me before this, you started sending mail, or your first mail hit in like November. You joined in September. Like, what did the first month look like, first of all? Like, was it just education, or when did you actually send your first mail?
Yeah, so it was a good combination of education, and like you guys talk about it can take maybe a month to actually have the mail hit mailboxes once you submit it. So yeah, my first mailers hit in November, and set up Pat Live. Really, I followed your guys' education program to a T, and just followed it step by step, and was lucky enough to have success. My first deal, locked it up at like 30,000, and then the seller ghosted me, and it took like 6 or 7 follow-ups to finally land that first deal. And actually, funny enough, Anthony called me, I think at like 9 a.m. I was at my corporate job, and he encouraged me to stay after the lead, and that kind of inspired me and encouraged me. And sure enough, after I got off the call with Anthony, and he does a great job of checking in with everyone in the group, called that seller back. The seller finally answered. We landed on a $35,000 purchase price, and ultimately ended up selling that one. Had a accepted offer in a matter of days for $65,000.
And that was a buy and resell?
Yes. Yep. A true flip there.
It's such a good lesson, Anthony, for like, you see so many people in that position who stop calling the person or don't feel comfortable. Is that like, what percentage of people would have never got that deal?
Well, I think it would be a good percentage of people that wouldn't, because there's a lot of people that, I was talking to Dylan about this last night too when we got dinner, is some people are so afraid of being on the phones or having that call. They think that they're being too pushy, or if they're not responding, they're not interested. But once you get them on the phone, you just got to do what you can with it. But yeah, I think it's a good percentage of people that don't take action 100%. Like that.
7 follow-ups.
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, that's what it took, and I knew it was a good deal. Had it on the deal review with you and Dan, so knew I wanted to stay after it, and especially with it being your first deal, it was great to have that first one under my belt, and have had a few since then as well. So the ball is rolling.
No, I remember that deal. Was that like 5 acres or something?
Yeah, 5 acres. If I knew then what I know now, like maybe I could have split it up and made a little bit more, but like when you're just starting out, to get your capital recycled is huge, and I funded that one myself. So to get that wire was a was a crazy experience. It was during my lunch break of my corporate job. I'm just like, holy cow! I've never seen that much money in a bank account before, and just plan on reinvesting that into the business, into more marketing and education and all that good stuff.
That's wild. So just like, what was the date? Do you know the date you got that wire, or about?
That would have been probably late January, early February. So it's relatively recent.
So yeah, you turned 35,000 into 65 in a couple weeks once you actually close the deal. That's incredible. And like you said, those wires coming in, it's a adrenaline rush at first, and you're going to keep looking at bigger and bigger wires as you go farther in this business. Is that kind of what you're looking at? So let's just talk about what you've done. Like 6 months in or so, about 6 months, a little more than 6 months. What have your numbers looked like so far? How many deals, how many mailers, everything like that?
Yeah. So really right when I got started, I think in Q4 of 2023, it was roughly 16,000 mailers, I would say. And from those 16,000 mailers, locked up 4 deals. 2 of those have closed all the way through. In fact, I just closed one on the dispo side 2 days ago. And there's one on the market, and then one I close on in like a week and a half. And that'll be, I think, $50,000-$60,000 profit even after paying out an investor.
Awesome.
Who's going to fund the entire deal. Should be able to lock up that deal without any of my own money, which is really cool. So yeah, have sent out 16,000 mailers in Q4, and then just started out mailing again here in like February and March. So I took like a month off in January as I got like my cold calling set up. But yeah, it's been great. Planning on going all in for 2024 and beyond.
So you've had, I saw your sheet that you sent me. You had 6 deals. You've had 6 deals that have a projected sale date, essentially. You've closed 2 all the way through right now?
Yep, 2 all the way through, 1 on the market, and then 3 have under contract. They're in the escrow process. One of those deals, the big profit split one, took a few months to get things sorted out from a title standpoint, but I stuck with that, kept the seller informed, worked with the title company, and I'm glad I did. It'll end up being my biggest deal so far.
That's awesome.
Nice.
What do those numbers look like?
Yes, that's a buy for $82,500. I think retail might be in like the 160 range.
Yeah.
And again, from Action Academy, found a funder, and it's going to be a huge win for the funder too. I'm hopeful and confident that they can get their money back within a month or two, which is very common in the land investing space. And then I'm hoping it's a win-win for both of us, and then can plan on using that capital partner going forward.
So what are your goals kind of for 2024 as far as like you have $200,000 of projected profit? I know some of it. No, I guess none of that was in 2023, right? Nothing close.
Correct.
Okay, good. So what are your goals kind of 2024?
Yeah. So it's funny. I remember talking with Anthony in our initial call, and my goal was like $120,000 in profit. And yeah, I'm well past that already. We'll see how these deals shake out. Obviously, we need to wait till everything's said and done. But yeah, going into 2024, my goal is $250K in profit just from land investing. It might take some marketing spend to get to that point, but I'm already seeing the fruits of my labor and the return on ad spend, if you will, from all the mailers, from the cold calling service that I'm using, and just locking up leads, locking up deals.
Nice. I know, Anthony, you have a good relationship with Dylan. What's kind of your perspective from 250 still sounds low to me. I don't know if we still need to argue that number up a little bit, but what's your perspective from like what Dylan's done? Like it's awesome seeing you guys in such a short amount of time and what you guys can accomplish, but give me your thoughts on everything.
Yeah, the thing that stood out the most to me, Dylan, with you is just your mindset. With the consultation calls and coaching calls that I have with people, it's like, oh, is this really going to work? Like, how do I know this is going to check out? But right from the get-go is you had the mindset of just being all in. Like, hey, I have money to play with. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. What does it actually take? And every time we'd have phone calls, because we would check in with each other all the time, because like I want to make sure I keep in contact, because you were dead serious. Like you can tell when people join the community who actually wants to try versus people that just kind of want to fart around, And so, yeah, for you, just it's just the mindset, and every advice or like the questions that you would ask, you would just take action from there, and you would just get after it. And if something didn't work, it's like, okay, well, can I tweak this, or what should I do differently? And just being active in the community and the little micro tribe that you guys have in Action Academy, I think is really important, having like that small community of people that you can rely on. And I think that stood out. And the biggest thing with people who are successful is just taking action and staying consistent. We preach that so much day in and day out. With land investing online, is the more action you take, just the consistency it will build. It definitely will. Like how you're saying, you have 6 or 7 deals right now in the pipeline.
Yeah, 6 of them.
Like, I mean, it just speaks for itself. So just your mindset and your action, I think, has been incredible, and the results show for it.
So do you think like when you came in, like going on that mindset, like was it like some people come in like, I'm going to test this thing out, I'm going to test it, I can see it, I need proof of concept, all this stuff. Were you just in the mindset of like, this is going to work, I'm going to make this work?
Yeah, kind of a burn the ships type of approach. Certainly wasn't going to put my family in any crazy financial jeopardy, but like I knew I had some money to play with, and it kind of stems back from like a few years ago. Like we were maxing out retirement accounts, so I had that frugality built in years ago that I was like, okay, land investing is now my opportunity. This is my big swing. Let's go for it. And I feel like once you have clarity around your goals and your why and providing for your family, like it's all about just taking massive action and dealing with the results after that. So once I had that clarity, I was like, okay, I'm all in. And I think we forget, because I eat, sleep, breathe all things land investing at this point in my life, and I'm loving it. We kind of forget that like land investing can be a lonely thing. So like having the folks in Action Academy, having you guys, having Anthony calling me on a weekly basis, just gives you that echo chamber of like, hey, that person's had success. I've heard people on your podcast before talk about the success that they've had, and I can't talk to family and friends about this because they're not doing what I'm doing, which is fine. But like to have that community and the who's around you has been super helpful, because they understand the struggles that you go through and all the ups and downs within land investing and real estate investing in general.
And you have so many people on your side in terms of Action Academy and obviously our group as well. Like it's people trying to help people. Like it really is. As far as like people want to see other people's success, or people get jealous. I'm sure. Like when they're like, well, Dylan just started. I started last April, and I haven't had that success. And it's a person by person thing for sure. But having the support, having the community support as you go, like I just don't think there's anything else. Going back, because you said like you had that frugal aspect in your life. Do you regret any of that, or do you think like as far as the Dave Ramsey stuff, he's a controversial figure, and that's what I'm kind of getting into. But any of that you regret, or like, is that awesome?
Yeah, if Dave saw what I'm doing now and all the wheeling and dealing and land investing, he would not approve. But I think that just goes to educating yourself. So like we went from, okay, Dave Ramsey, as I learned more, it's like, okay, financial independence, invest as much as you can. And I was like, okay, you could be a multimillionaire, but you're going to be 60 years old. So I was just like, okay, if I could figure something out in real estate or in business, that's going to be your ticket to cash flow, to financial freedom, and having work be optional potentially. I'm still a ways away from that. But even it's allowed me to leave a corporate job that was okay. It was working with great people and whatnot, but taking a job that's just going to be better from a faith, family, fitness, and ultimately allow for more time with land investing. So just having land investing has allowed me to open up so many doors for so many different aspects of my life.
It's like picking and choosing like what you're going to learn from different things. Dave Ramsey is obviously extremely one-sided as far as how he says things, but you can pick, like, for sure, like learning how to have a budget, like at bare minimum, like learning how to, you can pick things, and people get so mad about it. And I've said like, I don't believe that you should have no debt at all. Like I don't believe in that. But that being said, like, can you use things? Absolutely. And that's what we do with our community. Like, some people come in from wholesaling. I have consultations all the time. People come in from wholesaling, like, bring some of your shit over and use some of that in this. Use what we teach you, combine the two things, and you're going to do really, really amazing things. And it sounds like that's what you've done, like continually to learn, pick and choose where to learn from and what to pull from each thing, right?
Yeah. I'm constantly listening to land podcasts. Even on the 6.5 hour drive down here, I was listening to Traction by Gino Wickman to understand like the EOS system and potentially building a team moving forward. And I love this stuff. I could talk about land investing, real estate investing, buying businesses all day. And that's something that you may not get within your inner circle, but you surround yourself with people like Ron and Anthony and people within your community, Action Academy, and that's all we talk about. And it's been awesome.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Anthony, you got any questions for him?
In terms of, I would say my main question is, especially having dinner with you last night, you seem like a person that is really into personal development. And I'm curious to know, just with your mindset and who you are as an individual now, was there a pivotal moment in your life? I know you gave us a little bit of your story, but you know, what got you so motivated and inspired to like, okay, now I really want to take action. Like my eyes are starting to open up a little bit more. Was it after, you know, getting a deal, or was it joining Action Academy? Like what was your pivotal moment? Because I feel like we all have one in life.
Yeah, no, great question. Honestly, for me, I remember my wife telling me that we were pregnant and we were going to have our first kid. And I know you guys are both dads. So like when you hear that, just like your whole world changes, your mind changes, and it just had the responsibility to provide for my family and wanting to give my now 2 kids the best life possible. And still have a long ways to go, but luckily I have an amazing wife who's been on board with all my real estate and entrepreneurial craziness too. So it's been awesome. So that's kind of been my why and what's kicked off everything for me.
Some people like go the exact opposite. Like that's the time. Not saying you're taking risk. I mean, you are taking some risk for sure. But like some people, exact opposite. My wife's pregnant. I'm gonna be passive. I'm gonna do this. Like I just gonna be safe. The safe corporate job. I'm not looking for a way out. All 3 of us are kind of similar in that. Like I quit a job when my wife was pregnant. You took a leap of this, everything like that, or you kind of had that mindset shift. And Anthony moved across the country 3,000 miles, all when our wives are pregnant or new kid, anything like that, which is crazy to hear. But like that's the thing. Like there's so many excuses out there. Whether you, I don't know, you can think of hundreds of excuses why people don't start something. But if you have that why, and we talked about the last episode we did together, just having that why is so powerful. Like it cannot always just be money. Like a why, why do you want an extra $100,000 a year? Why do you want to have the financial freedom? What is it going to do for you? And if you actually understand that internally, like Dylan was able to drive down from Milwaukee to be on a podcast in the middle of a week, like being able to do that and all that, these other things, like it's really cool to see.
Yeah. And to me, it's really not about the money. It's just about time freedom, freedom to do what you want, where you want, with who you want, which is something that Brian Lubin always says from Action Academy, but it's so true. Money's just a number. It's just a tool, and it's not what drives me. It's providing for my family and just trying to reach my potential as an individual. Yeah.
And rich people, like the most wealthy people, don't look at money like the poor people do. Really, poor people look at it very transactional in terms of money like that, where you're investing so much into community, into networking, into education, into like growing yourself, which is cool to see for sure. And like, that's where you need to put your money, like put it into you. And Alex Hormozy says it all the time in terms of investing in yourself. If you have $1,000, invest in yourself. If you get a skill, like that skill cannot be taken from you. You can be fired from your job. You can have money stolen from you. You cannot lose a skill. Barring anything crazy happening as far as like mental. That there's so much value in investing in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And even like when I was working my corporate job, it's like, okay, I can either, and I was a good corporate worker, good member of the team, but it's like, you got to invest in yourself. Like I remember closing probably my first 3 deals I closed during my 9 to 5. I would either walk out to my car and talk with the seller. Probably a lot of times it takes multiple touch points, and it's like, okay, I can work super hard for that bonus or my first deal. I mean, $30,000 profit. You got to put you and your family first, and people like us understand that. But like, there's a lot of people in the corporate world that don't have that same mindset, which is fine. But
do you have a quitting story? Like, what was your quitting? Anything dramatic?
No, nothing crazy. And really enjoyed my time at my W-2 and worked with great people. It's a great culture, really good company. I just knew that I'm not a corporate guy, and when I'm on my deathbed someday, I want to be able to make an impact and help as many people as possible. And I've started to get into more social media and posting a little bit more, just to inspire people if they might have an interest in investing or real estate investing. In the way that so many people have inspired me.
Yeah. I think just telling a story like that, like, I think Anthony should do it more on social media, like telling a story, like anything like that, being a storyteller and that people follow based on that. People want to follow a story. Like, that's really cool. Dylan did this. He was doing this. He was in the same position as me 9 months ago, and now he's here, which is really cool to see. What do you Dylan, what are your thoughts going forward on your land business? I know you mentioned traction, hiring, all that kind of stuff. Like, what are your, not goals money-wise or anything like that in 2024, but what's the direction of your land business?
Yeah, just continuing to educate myself. I feel like every day I'm listening to a different land podcast. And I think ultimately if I want to get to where I want to go, it's going to be involved with building a team. So I'm not sure if that's a lead manager or an acquisition manager. I had a VA for 2 months. It was okay. But I know that I'll need to utilize a VA going forward just to free up some time. I enjoy pricing. So like, man, I'm starting to get leads from cold calls, from direct mail marketing. It'd be awesome to potentially hire that out and find a sales manager. But also know that ultimately that relies on me. But I mean, you're a good example of it. Like, you've built your own business, like you have Anthony working for you. Just trying to think bigger and build towards those goals that I have for 2024 and beyond.
One thing I wanted to ask you, Dylan, just with all the progress that you've made in terms of, strategy moving forward with your land flipping business, like people like to emphasize on your quick flips, like buy for 30, sell for 60, 65, which I think are great. Like, that's definitely the lifeline of the business. But where do you see your strategy moving forward? Are you looking to niche in certain areas? Are you looking to get into subdivisions? Like, what's your mindset now after getting some deals under your belt? Yeah.
So I think the flips are really the lifeblood of the business, which you guys have talked about. Like, that's kind of what pays the bills and gives you some runway for more marketing. I think what I found with the land portal, I mean, you can target specific areas, which is awesome, and really do a polygon around really specific areas. So I would love to target subdivisions and larger acreage ranges. I think that'll be the goal moving forward. And gosh, if you could get 1 to 4 subdivide plays and subdivide deals in a given year, like, that's what's really going to propel your business forward. Whereas the traditional flips are great. I'll do them all day long. But those are really what pays the bills in a lot of ways from a marketing standpoint. So yeah, I haven't done a minor subdivide yet, but I would love to, just from a learning standpoint and then ultimately a profit standpoint too.
And that's what you need. Just thinking here, like from a business perspective, I think like as you have these ideas and stuff, write them down as far as like, because just getting that list is a VA play right there. Like, okay, you teach them how to find, I want this much road frontage. This is how you do it on the land portal, getting VA, and just start writing down things VAs can do, because you should be at the position where you are and invest the money back into your business so you can just, okay, here's the list of 25 to 100 acre properties. They all have subdivide plays based on what my VA just did, and just start attacking those. Like, those are when it's so valuable. Like, those are $200,000, $300,000 profit deals. You have great funding partners, which is amazing. But yeah, as far as like, are there other tasks you see like a VA? What did your VA do, or is it kind of disorganized when you had it at first?
Yeah, it was a little bit disorganized, and I take extreme ownership of that too, because like I was still working my corporate job, and I tried to do as many Loom videos as I can to teach the VA like kind of what I needed, and she was good. It was more so just like data entry. I think I hired her with the mindset of like, oh, with these cold call leads that come in, I can have her follow up, and ultimately I didn't think that was the right situation. So that's where it'd be awesome to have a lead manager, sales manager to follow up with those leads. And but yeah, certainly I think a VA is very much in my future, and I at this point have the money to pay for it too, which is nice. And yeah, from a data entry standpoint, from targeting specific subdivide plays, I think that's the move going forward.
Have you listened or read to Buy Back Your Time yet from Dan Martell? I know Brian's talked about it a lot.
I have. I think I listened to it before I got into land investing, so I need to re-listen to the audiobook because now I have a completely different lens around my business and my goals going forward.
Yeah, we haven't implemented all of it, but like he talks about playbooks in terms of different processes that you have written up and all these different things. Like Dan Martell does a great job in that book, and he like lives it, breathes it, what he's doing. Have you?
Yeah, and it resonated a lot, especially with us being young fathers too. It really gives you a new lens on how to look at things and what to actually delegate, having playbooks. That way, when you do those things in the future, either you could delegate it, outsource it, or you have all the foundation in place. Like, it's a great book.
Yeah, exactly.
Highly recommend it.
Dylan, what's kind of your advice for someone looking to get into this business as far as whatever? They have $5,000 because you had more money to throw at this business, but they have $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to get started in this business. What kind of advice would you give someone like that?
Yeah, I think I was very strategic about pricing mail and picking the counties that I did. You guys talk about like the sold versus for sale ratio. What I've had success with too is finding specific acreage ranges within those counties. So like if 10 to 20 acres, 10 have sold and there's one on the market, I really niche down into those specific acreage ranges.
Nice.
And that's what I mail. So you can take it on a county wide basis from 1 acres to 40 acres, or you could really niche down into like 10 to 15 acres, 15 to 20, and that allows you to really understand the market, I think, a little bit better. And you may be able to offer a little bit more from a pricing standpoint because the market has already proven that there's demand for, say, a 20-acre property, but there's only one on the market. If you're able to lock up one of those deals, you're probably able to list it for 100% of market value potentially. So I've been very strategic, especially early on when capital was limited on what counties I picked, and then acreage ranges as well. So I would say to someone, like, follow your education program to a T, and just be very selective about the counties that you choose.
Did you have a budget like coming in for marketing where like you were ready to throw this at? And I know you had other money, it sounded like, to fund deals. Did you have a budget for money for marketing, that you wanted to not go above?
Yeah, not really. And maybe that's a bad business owner, but just really like once I had that clarity, I had a sense of belief and confidence in myself that I was going to make it work. And it was nice locking up, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 deals within those first 3 months where I knew eventually I would have money coming in on the disposition side. So once those deals came through, I was like, okay, I can really go after this land flipping stuff. It works. And, but yeah, I mean, those first 3 to 6 months in the land investing business, like, it can be a lonely thing. You can get discouraged, but like I said, you just got to create an echo chamber, keep listening to podcasts, keep networking with other people who have done it successfully already. And that helps a ton, especially early on. So I didn't have a particular number. I just knew that I wanted to pound the marketing trail the first few months and see what happened.
I like it. Yeah, sometimes these people come with budget and then they get nervous as they get close, and then they get like cold feet, and then they don't take action. Are there any like KPIs that you religiously track or track a little? What KPIs are you tracking?
Yeah, I certainly need to do a better job of that. I'm tracking marketing spend. I'm tracking mailers that are sent out. Those are 2 really easy ones, to be honest. I heard it on a podcast where like really key KPIs to look for are like gross leads, so like the number of leads that come in, net leads, which is the number of leads you're actually following up with. I think after that, it's how many offers you're sending. The funnel below that is how many are getting accepted, and ultimately how many are closing. So I think, what is that, 4 or 5 different kind of funnels, levels of funnels within your KPIs. I don't track those as much as I should, but as I really treat this as a business going forward, I know that KPIs are something that I need to do a better job with. And KPIs can be misleading too, like when you're just getting started in the business, which I am. So like you can look at your deal per mailer ratio and maybe get discouraged, but like you have to be very selective early on about the deals that you do go forward with, just because capital is so limited. So as I go forward, those are probably the KPIs that I want to track.
Anthony, are there any KPIs that you think like added on to that are important in the business?
I think one thing, and we were talking about this last night as well too, is trying to figure out like the people who are selling to you the most. Like when I did a presentation for the micro tribe, is really understanding the 80-20 principle of like 20% of landowners are 80% of the people who would sell to you. So I would say maybe that, and then just I would look maybe a little into your cold calling as well too, because you do something unique. You do both mailers and cold calling, correct?
Correct. Yep. And that's been good because like the direct mail that leads that come in, like I'm all over those, calling the sellers back right away. Whereas a lot of the cold call leads can be people who want market value and aren't willing to budge on price. And it's nice to have both. Like you kind of have the neutral leads that come in, and then the very qualified leads from direct mail. So it's nice to have both. Even at dinner last night, Anthony, I think I got like 4 or 5 different cold call leads that I checked out this morning before the podcast. So need to follow up with those folks either on my drive back or early next week. It's nice. Leads are the lifeblood of a land investing business, whether they're cold call leads, direct mail leads. So you just got to stay consistent with marketing, which a million people have talked on this podcast before. So leads are the lifeblood, and it'll be interesting to see how it looks going forward.
Do you track like projected profit or anything like that? Because the thing about this business is there's a big delay from when you first talk to a seller to when you get the money back on the back end. Do you track anything like that? I know you have like built-in equity, like, okay, this is what I think it's going to sell for. Do you track that at all?
Yep. I have a spreadsheet basically showing like what I have the contract for, what I think it's going to sell for. And to me, that's the number one KPI, which is like profit in the business. Definitely tracking that. But like to your point, I think I first talked with that first deal, that seller probably in mid-November and didn't close until late January, early February, probably. It just takes time. And that one took a lot of follow-ups as well. But yeah, it takes time to make money in the business. But once you get your first deal, like you're off and running.
Lead flow, deal flow, everything like that. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on here. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have any questions for us? Anything else to add to the viewers? A lot of people listening, a lot of people are in your shoes or where you were 6-7 months ago.
Yeah. I mean, 5, 6, 7 months ago, had no idea what land investing was.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's been a huge blessing, and plan on going all in on land investing in 2024 and beyond. And I'm sure there's people who have sent out their first few rounds of mail that are maybe getting discouraged. Maybe they don't have a deal, or the deals that come in are junk deals. And like, that's okay. It happens. I would say just stick with it. I don't think the land investing space has too much competition by any means, and there's opportunities that are out there. Just network, find that clarity that you're looking for with your life, and just keep pushing.
Well, I appreciate you coming up down here, Dylan. As always, guys, if you guys haven't already, if you guys are listening on Apple or Spotify, share this with a friend. Put it on your Instagram story. Put it on your Snapchat story. Whatever. It's going to help someone else. If you guys are listening on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment if you have any other guests you think we should bring on. Other than that, thank you again, Dylan. We'll see you guys next time.
As always, thank you for joining. Please do us a huge favor and like and subscribe our YouTube channel and share this with a friend. It really means the world to Ron and I, but more importantly, it could help change the life of someone else. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next episode.